everyone, it's James here from the Studio Rats and welcome to my own personal building site. Yes, this is the first opportunity in about 3-4 weeks, I think we're probably 6 weeks into the build now, that I've had to actually get out here and do some to-camera stuff so I can talk you through the process we're at as far as we've got so far. We're outside, sorry about the background noise and the all the other stuff that comes with shooting outside. I'll do my best. So, as you can see, the walls are finally going up after our little false start with Matey Boy Builder Mark 1. We are now on Matey Boy Bricky Mark 2, who seems to be much better and is doing stuff the way I want it done, and 2 building regs, which is always good. But I thought I'd take the opportunity now to, obviously as we've been going along, I've been shooting footage for this thing, I've been shooting pictures and stuff like that, put together kind of a montage, because even Rocky had a montage of the process we got to finally get out of the ground. And we're going to start by digging a big hole. Not very exciting, I know, and Paul's going to love this bit, but we're going to start with the ground, all the groundwork that's gone into it, and all the other stuff. So here we go. Probably worth mentioning what was here before, because obviously it looks like quite a large structure. There were 2 very old dilapidated garden sheds, which if we hadn't taken them down would have fallen down, and then on this side there was a big about 6x4 vegetable patch, raised vegetable patch. So actually I think the total space taken by the 2 sheds and the vegetable patch was something like 47.5 square meters. And the new building is 55 square meters. So actually, although it looks like we've taken up a lot of the garden, all we've done is compacted all that space. We've got more space this side. Obviously, when the timber and things go, we'll have much more space this side, and we'll have exactly the same amount of grass this side. Great. Yes, it is a huge thing. Currently, Jen's referring to it as our very own Colditz Castle. But when it's clad in CP board, cement board that looks like timber but lasts forever and doesn't require any maintenance, which is a bonus in my world. It's also a lot cheaper than timber as well. Like larch or cedar cladding for this thing was going to be about 18,000-20,000 quid, and CP board, cement board, which looks exactly the same, is about 1,000. So thank you, building regs, for telling me or building control for telling me I wasn't allowed timber. So, as with all things, it starts with a hole, and to make a hole you need a digger. We had a digger and a dumper truck to be able to move the material down the side of the house. My main builder, Lester, who's been with me all the way through, started on the groundwork stuff. We've had a separate person to do the brickwork, we'll come to that in a bit, but basically Lester and his team have done everything on this project so far. From digging out I think we ended up with 14 6-yard skips worth of soil, which is quite scary, financially quite scary, but we got rid of a lot of material in the base. We then proceeded to fill that very large hole up with stuff again, which seems bizarre that you dig a hole then you start to fill it up again. I had an entire truckload, quite literally a truckload of type 1 aggregate come in, and you put that in the hole to line it, give the actual hole the shape. It's what's called a raft base. So instead of having what you might think of as traditional foundations, where you just dig a trench and you fill it up with concrete, this is what's called a raft. So we actually have, I think it is 800 mil deep toes around the edge of the slab, and then one at a 2 meter point in from the edge. That's for a separate concrete wall, which I'll show you in a bit, or a block wall that I'll show you in a bit. But the type 1 aggregate, which came out the back of the truck, is then barrowed in, poured in, smoothed out, compacted down, whacked down with another tool we hired, a whacker. That then goes down. We then put down what they call a lean mix of sand and cement to line the type 1. So when you put the membrane down, the damp-proof membrane down, it doesn't puncture it, because of course there's no point in having a plastic damp-proof membrane like a swimming pool or a pond liner with holes in. That seems daft. So after the type 1, then the sand, cement, the lean mix, then the pond liner, which made it look like a huge swimming pool, and Jen decided at that point she'd really rather have a swimming pool, and I kind of know where she's coming from, because clearly digging a big hole is easier than putting up a building. But we put the damp-proof membrane in, and at that point we then start to talk about the steel work. The steel work was horrific. I think there are 12 of the big sort of 8x4 sheets of mesh which are tied together. There's then, we had an engineer on the project to produce what's called a bending schedule, who knew, of all the bits of rebar, the bent rebar that tie in to make the toes. So there's a section that goes around the edge, all the way around the edge of it, and then a section across the middle, and they're all slightly different and they all tie together. And there's about 2.5 ton of steel work in there, which is quite a lot. So after about 2.5 weeks, we were ready, finally, for the concrete. And we had 2 concrete trucks and a pump. The 2 concrete trucks parked out on the driveway, pump truck pumps it all in down a big long pipe. And the guys then got to work smoothing it all out. In total, I think we had something in the region of 53, 54 cubic meters of concrete, which works out to about 65 tons, which is quite a lot of concrete. And, you know, obviously concrete weighs a lot. It ain't going anywhere. The base is down, it's solid. The guys did a great job of screeding it off and smoothing it off, and it looks, you know, it was ice rink flat. Really good job. We then had 1,250 blocks delivered, 7 Newton 100 mil blocks. And they are heavy. They're the densest ones we can get. Obviously, from soundproofing point of view, dense is good. So yeah, we have the heaviest blocks possible on this project. And we are now, after say 1 false start, at 8 courses on 3 sides. The front is obviously where the window and the 2 doors go. There's a door into kind of like a cupboard space, which is going to be part of it. It's like a garden storage, not really part of the shed. And that side of it, which I'll show you in a bit, is the non-acoustic side. But let me take you on a little journey inside the studio, sorry, the shed, as it is thus far. So you can see the front. Lovely. Still a work in progress, as you can see. The builders create these little block towers from which to work from. And say a 7 Newton block is one of these bad boys. And yes, they are seriously heavy duty. Not a one-handed lift for a mere mortal like me. You can see we're pretty close to the boundary. You can also see that he's done a great job, nice and straight, nice and flat. Likewise down the front elevation. So there's the hole for my window. Yes, it looks quite high, but the floor height will actually be 1 block up due to the damp-proof coursing and all the stuff we're putting in the floor. So yes, the window looks quite high, but it's actually only 1 metre high off the internal floor level. See all the stacks of material we have ready to go, all the roofing, trussing, internal and external, all the timber for framing. The lighting truss has now arrived as well, which is very exciting. Main door, this will be like an airlock door, triple glazed, argon filled, 2 of those back to back. And then we have this little door here, which is going to be the garden storage, because of course it is still a house and it is still a garden. So there'll be a wall a little bit shy of where that block is there, a little bit this way. So that's the garden storage, the garden shed, if you like. And then there's this internal wall, which will have another partition on it, and that goes through into the main studio. There'll be some storage on the other side, cupboards, just so I'm not tripping over stuff, cables, mics, of which I have plenty, which is going to be good to get them out of the way and stored properly. So let's go in, and you can see it's quite a step at the minute. But we'll step over into what will be the studio. See the blocks all prepped to go up to the next lift. There's 3 more courses to go on the back and 4 more courses to go on the front, which is all very exciting, which takes up to about 2.8, nearly 9 feet internal at the front, which is great. Plenty of space for drum mics. You can see here, there's what they call piers which I used to strengthen the wall to stop it. Obviously, it's only a single course of block. I didn't want 2 courses because it would have eaten up too much of my space, and I don't actually think sonically it's going to do me any favours, acoustically even. So they build these piers up the inside to strengthen the wall. It's not going to be a problem because the internal timber frame will probably come just short of that. So we'll have yay much space in the timber frame before we get to the important stuff like the windows. So there'll be a 2 metre by 1 metre picture window in here. Again, triple glazed, argon filled, and there's 2 of them. So there's 2 back to back, so double window isolation, if you like. 1 in the blockwork wall and 1 in the timber frame. Again, you can see internally there's another pier on that wall and 1 on the far side and 1 at the back. We have what's called an expansion gap in the back, filled with this kind of you'd normally film it with a foam component, but obviously foam and sound not so great. So we use this kind of fiberboard stuff, acoustic fiberboard. Much better to use as an expansion gap material than just normal foam. You can see the dividing wall, and then there'll be a door here, which will take us through into the cupboard area, and here will be things like the little kitchen, so a kettle and fridge and stuff. And then here will be 2 cupboards, which I'm going to nickname the Fender and the Gibson cupboard because I've got some guitar necks that I'm going to use as door handles. They'll be quite cool. Yeah, and that's pretty much where we are at the minute. It's quite exciting. It's taken about, well, just under a week actually for the guys to get to this level from the false start. So they arrived on, John, our new brickie, arrived on Thursday, and we're at this in under a week. So we're looking at maybe a week, 10 days to be block work done, ready for the roof, which is all very exciting. We obviously have a lot to do yet, so much to do yet. The plan is to get the roof on next week. We already have the doors and windows here, so we'll get the outer door, the outer window, and the cupboard door on before we go on holiday, which is a bonus. And then it's pretty much down to the internals, which I still have to draw out properly and give the plan to James the Chippy. That's going to be confusing, 2 Jameses on site. And that, of course, is going to take an awful lot more of my time and energies because, you know, it's the acoustic side of things, which gets far more interesting. We've already had the Sparky round, got the plans for the wiring, both electrical and data and sound. There's not actually that much good old-fashioned copper cable going in it really, because, you know, one room, it's not like I'm piping sound all over the place. Most of the sound that's going to be piped around will be done over Cat 6, so Dante effectively, and there'll be a data network between the house and there and other bits and pieces. The lighting rigs arrived, so that's all going to be very exciting. We worked out all the loading for the roof trusses, so we've had to put 2 lots of roof trusses in. 1 set for the outside with a thing called snow loading, which of course I didn't think about. I'm not a builder, why would I? It's all very well saying, yes, this roof will take a certain amount of load, but sometimes we have snow and you have to think about those sort of things, apparently. So we now have 2 roofs. We have the internal room within a room roof with its own trussing, and the external roof with its own trusses. So yeah, it's all very exciting. Hopefully that made some kind of sense and goes a long way to explain where we are, what's been going on thus far. It's been quite difficult. It's been quite difficult to manage it, to be totally honest, and try and keep working and try and just keep normality. I won't say I've been the greatest dad during this thus far because I've said no, you can't go out in the garden for certainly the first week of the summer holidays, which is going down really well, as you can imagine. But yeah, we're getting there. Hopefully this will all be done to a stage where I can have the garden back within the next couple of weeks. So yeah, hope you enjoyed that. If you have any questions, please do put them in the comment section down on the video. But for now, my name's James Ivey from the Studio Rats, and we'll see you again very soon. Take care, everyone.